the silent scream.
Late one night, Clara sat alone in her small apartment, immersed in her work. The glow of her laptop was the only light in the room, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The deadline for her project was looming, and she had to finish it tonight.
Suddenly, the power went out. The room plunged into darkness, and Clara felt a shiver run down her spine. She fumbled for her phone, using its screen to light her way to the kitchen. There, she found a flashlight and turned it on, its beam piercing through the darkness.
As she made her way back to the living room, Clara heard a faint, rhythmic tapping. She froze, listening intently. The sound seemed to be coming from the window. Slowly, she approached and peeked through the curtains, but nothing was there.
She shook her head, chalking it up to her imagination, and returned to her laptop, now running on battery. She was about to resume working when the tapping resumed, louder this time. Clara's heart raced as she turned towards the sound. The flashlight flickered, then went out.
The tapping grew more insistent, almost angry. Clara grabbed her phone and turned on the camera flash, aiming it towards the window. The light revealed a face pressed against the glass, pale and ghostly, with hollow eyes staring directly at her.
Clara screamed and stumbled back, her phone slipping from her hand and clattering to the floor. The face disappeared, leaving only the sound of her ragged breathing. She scrambled to pick up her phone and call for help, but there was no signal.
The room grew colder, and Clara could see her breath forming misty clouds in the air. The tapping began again, now coming from the door. She turned towards it, her mind racing with fear. She knew she had to leave, but her legs felt like lead.
Gathering all her courage, Clara rushed to the door and flung it open. The hallway was empty, silent and foreboding. She hesitated, then stepped out, leaving her apartment behind. As she hurried down the stairs, the tapping followed her, growing louder and more frantic with each step.
Finally, she burst out of the building and into the night. The tapping stopped, replaced by the sound of her own heartbeat thundering in her ears. She looked back at her apartment, the windows dark and silent. She knew she couldn't go back, but she couldn't stay outside either.
Clara ran to a nearby cafe, its neon sign flickering in the distance. She burst through the door, startling the few late-night patrons inside. Breathless and trembling, she explained what had happened. The barista, a kind-looking woman, offered her a seat and a warm drink.
As Clara sipped her coffee, she glanced at the TV mounted on the wall. The news was on, and her blood ran cold as she saw a familiar face on the screen. The anchor was reporting on a recent string of disappearances in the area. The latest victim's photo appeared on the screen. It was the same face she had seen at her window.
The barista noticed Clara's reaction and asked if she was okay. Clara nodded, trying to steady her nerves, but deep down, she knew that the silent scream of the ghostly face would haunt her forever.